Okay. Did you say, Delia, we're waiting for Eamon?
Yes, I haven't had apologies from Eamon.
Okay. We are quorate anyway, aren't we?
Yes,
Five of us.
we are. We're quorate, so we might be good to go. Can you see it all right, Ed?
Yeah, I'm okay. I've split my screen, so I'm just reading one of the applications again.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm looking closely at the screen.
So you're happy for us to leave it for people to mute and unmute themselves, Chairman?
Yeah.
So we're ready to start when you're ready, but it's still only 29 minutes past.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good evening, all. Good evening, members. And for the Finance Committee, Tuesday the 10th of December. Any apologies of absence, Delia?
Yes, had apologies from Councillor MacDonald and from Councillor Kennedy, and I think Councillor O'Rourke is just joining us.
Oh, right.
If you want to just wait a moment.
Yep.
To give him a moment.
Evening, Eamon.
I think he's just connecting to his audio.
Good evening, Eamon. Can you hear us?
He's muted himself.
Yeah, come off mute, Eamon. That's it.
Off mute now.
Lovely. Evening to you, mister. Right, item 2, declarations of interest from anyone. No? Right, thank you. Item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. If I go through one page at a time, page 1, page 2, and page 3. I'll sign those minutes when it's appropriate.
Thank you, Chairman.
Right. Item 4. I'll get there. Public speaking time. Have we got anyone, Delia?
No, we've had no members request to speak, but I do know that quite a large number of people have indicated that they'll be viewing tonight. I think there's particular interest in the planning application concerning the biogas site. But no one's asked to make any representation.
Right. Members, do we want to bring that item forward so that the general public can get and leave us if they want to afterwards? I think that would be more reasonable. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So what we'll do, we'll go straight to item 5.8, which is the application for installation of gas tanker offloading facility in Bletchley Road, Newton Longville. I'll open it for discussion. Anyone want to come in? Anyone want to start? Ed?
Yeah, I will give this a go. I was actually shocked at the application when I first saw it. There's so much more to say about it and the risks that are involved and the potential damage it will do on our communities in Bletchley, Fenner Stratford, West Bletchley and Newton Longville. The application is for a site to inject biogas into the national network. Gas has been created as a result of anaerobic digesters. In most cases, where gas injection is done into the national grid, or biogas is injected into national grid, it's done at the same site as an anaerobic digester. So it's unusual to find such a site. In addition to the biogas, propane is also required, which again will need to be transported to the site. Quite frankly, I think it's a bit of a horrific application in my opinion. So I think we should propose, I propose that we object on the following points. Number one, there is no health and safety executive report attached to the application. Number two, the negative impact on traffic. Number three, unacceptable levels of noise and air pollution from the site. Number four, adverse impact on residential amenity. And number five, inappropriate location for a hazardous site. Quite a few of these are quite similar to what West Bletchley objected to yesterday at their meeting. Delia, did you get those points, or have I talked too fast? I suspect we've already discussed it.
You're muted, didn't you?
If you could just refresh me on points 3 and 4, please.
So points 3 was unacceptable levels of noise and air pollution from the site.
Thank you.
And number 4 was adverse impact on residential amenity.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll probably just go into details of why I think that we should object on those grounds. Number 1, there is no health and safety executive report attached to the application. How are we as a community supposed to understand what the risks are, and have these been considered, and the relevant mitigations that have been put in place? This is a potentially dangerous site, with gas being stored and moved around on the roads of our town. It is vital that the details provided by Bucks Council on this as part of the consultation of the application, which is not there at the moment. Number 2, the negative impact on traffic. This will create 20 additional movements in and out of the site, not counting propane deliveries or maintenance vehicles, or even during the construction phase, the construction vehicles. There is no information to state if the lorries will be able to handle junctions in the local area, such as the Tesco roundabout on Bucking Road, or even the Newton Longville crossroads. This will potentially, because there is no detail on this, the lorries may not be able to handle this, and as they try and manoeuvre these junctions, it may cause additional hold-ups, and not to mention the additional CO2 emissions and pollutants from such vehicles. Number 3, the third objection was unacceptable levels of noise and air pollution from the site. We don't know what percentage of gases will be released into the environment or what other pollutants are involved. There is always going to be a natural, my understanding is there's always a bit of a natural loss of some of these gases, and we don't quite know what that impact is going to be in the local area. Number 4, the adverse impact on residential amenity. Once upon a time, the fields near the site were filled with chimney stacks overlooking Bletchley. I'm sure that many of us wouldn't want to necessarily see that again, although I can't remember the chimney stacks over Bletchley. They were before I was born, but I know, having spoken to a number of residents, that is a concern that they do have. Number 5, the inappropriate location for the hazardous site. It's less than 200 metres from people's homes. It's between two large residential settlements. It's 250 metres approximately from a local path, and it's next to a railway line. I'm not even sure that Bucks Council have even consulted Network Rail on this. There is no alternative for lorries to access the site except to use residential roads and local roads around Bletchley and Fenny Stratford. What if something happens on the site? How will it affect the Bletchley area? I don't think we know, and that's partly because we don't have the health and safety executive report. I think it's really important that we object to this, and we make representations to both Bucks Council and also Milton Keynes Council, who, as Milton Keynes Council, also represent residents in the local area, and I hope they are going to be putting in a response to this at Bucks Council. I think it's also really important that actually there's been a very strong voice from the community, and West Bletchley Council have objected, Newton Longville Council, Parish Council have objected, and I think it's really important that we stand with them, and if we're so minded to do that, oppose this application. I talked quite quickly, and I made quite a bit of points before I said that, so because I wanted to cover a lot of points.
Is that it, Ed?
That's it. I'm done.
Thank you very much. Well, before we go on, I'll certainly second all those proposals. I think they're excellent. Thank you very much, Ed. Can I mean, what I can't understand about the application, it is a national, it's being piped into the national grid, yet they've chosen a residential area to do it. The pipework goes for dozens of miles either side, and they could put it into the open countryside, and that seems very difficult to me. Ethan, you came in, then Eamon.
Thank you, Chairman. I was also astonished to see this application. In the application, decided access statement, the site is described as being in the countryside, and actually, having driven past it, it's noted that Newton Longville is a rural village, but it's actually quite a residential area. And my understanding is actually this is one area of the village that there's no gap between Milton Keynes and also this part of Newton Longville. So it feels to me that there is a really big impact on residential amenity. What I also noted was back in 2005, when the Newton Lees outline application was decided, the traffic was taken out of Newton Longville for the landfill, and a new entrance built in Newton Lees for lorries to access directly off the A4146 and to take the traffic out of Newton Longville. And so it feels like that all of the councils that were involved in making that decision, so that was Buckinghamshire County Council, Milton Keynes Council, and Aylesbury Vale Council, back at that point, they've always had a plan to take traffic out of Newton Longville. And so it's really surprising and astonishing to me that this application has gone in and we want to see the traffic returned when there's actually conditions on Newton Lees that a road to the landfill must be built to take out of the traffic out of Newton Longville. I'm very concerned at the operation of a 24-hour industrial site in a residential area. And to come back on the point about the hazardous site, I do believe that this site is potentially a hazardous site already, but the application that they're making, where they're going to be driving in a trailer full of methane, leaving it overnight, driving the cab away, and then returning the next morning, while there's no one in space to monitor what's going on, it's all going to be remote monitored. For me, that is an increase in the hazard. It is. We know that there have been issues, in the last 20 years on these sites. The fact that it's not monitored on site, and there is an increase in hazard. The residents that are there locally have not had the opportunity to make a decision based upon the hazard that this is proposed. They may have made a decision on what it was already, and so I believe that that's an issue that needs to be addressed. I also believe it's very close to our nature reserve, the Blue Lagoon, and I'm really concerned about how this would impact that. Again, repeating on the traffic, 24 hours a day possibly, I just don't think it's suitable.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Eamon?
Good evening, Chair. I'd like to give you a bit of history on the site, if you don't mind. There is already a vast storage system already underground that leads from Newton Longville, comes out of Lomans Drive down by the canal, and by the little bridge that goes over the canal, you'll notice a big steel pipe that goes over with little railings on it to stop children running across it. That's a 36-inch gas main, and it runs from Lomans Drive round the Fenny bypass, through McDonald's, where there's a heat exchanger. You see a fenced off area next to McDonald's. There's a heat exchanger there because it's liquid and they have to heat it up to move it. And it ends up as a dead end at Browns Wood. So the pipeline doesn't actually go anywhere. It's just used purely for storage. I was given all this information because I was on both jobs with my machines, and we were told to go nowhere near it because it holds, the pressure in it is 900 pounds per square inch. So if you was to hit it with a digger, you'd end up on the space station. I don't know how significant that is with the other stuff, but there's already stuff there. And it's always seemed quite dangerous to me, what they've already got there, let alone putting that extra stuff there, if you know what I mean. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm open for questions if you want.
Thank you, Eamon. Anyone else want to come in before we... Yep, Ron?
Yeah, as I agree with everything everybody's saying, especially what Eamon was saying with that gas that's running along there anyway. But what we need to do to make sure we don't get it too wordy with the objection, because obviously this will go all the way to the minister. Obviously, when it's turned down locally, it'll end up going to the minister. So we really need to make sure that our facts are right with health and safety, danger, and air pollution. So we need to make sure we hit them on things where they can't come back at us and say, oh, we're going to do this in the future, we'll do that. So we need to make sure we cross the T's and dot the I's with our objections. You know, that's all I'm concerned about. We make it too wordy. Everyone makes it too wordy, and no one will take no notice. Okay.
Yep. Okay, Ron. Thank you. Ethan, did you want to come back?
Thank you, Chairman. I forgot. I also think that there is no, for me, there is an issue around cumulative impact of traffic for this site, with also the east-west rail stuff that's going to be done over the next 2 to 3 years. And so I think it's already, the residents very locally are having 24-hour noise coming from the east-west rail site, and yet we're just going to industrialise this area completely, and that I do not agree with that.
Okay, thank you for that. The only thing I'd add to your comments, Ethan, is you were very strong on the traffic from Newton Longville into the site, but of course we mustn't forget that we've got Newton Road coming through West Bletchley, which is also the other access. Right, now we've got Ed's proposal and his items. Ed, do you want to come back?
Yeah, I mean the proposal is for those 5 points, and I don't know whether it might be just worth suggesting that the clerk just has the powers to just add in details from the discussion that we've had to ensure that it's summarised well when it goes to Bucks Council and Milton Keynes Council.
Yes, we're also agreeing, aren't we, to send it to both councils, our objections. Okay. Right, for those in favour of those proposals.
Yeah.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Right, that finishes that item. We go back to our agenda now. So we are on item 5. The first one is 5.1, 23 Cambridge Street, Bletchley. Any comment?
No comment.
Right, no comment. Thank you. 2, 50 Osborne Street, Bletchley. Certificate of work lawfulness. Any comment? Right. Items 3, Stadium MK, Stadium Way West. Any comment?
No.
Right. 4, Stadium MK, internally illuminated fascia side. Any comment?
No.
No. 5, 9 Southland Drive, Bletchley, brickstone wall. Any comment? No. 8 Tyree Street, Court, beg your pardon, Newton Lees, loft conversion. Any comment? No. 7, 118 Watling Street, resubmission of a previous application. Any comment? We made all our comments last time, I think.
Done it.
Item 8, southwest of Bond Avenue, proposed 5G transmission installation. Any comment? Thank you. Item 9, 169 Queensway, 2-storey first floor rear extension, etc., including residential units. Any comments? Ed?
Yes. I've not looked at this application in detail, but from what I can see of the details of the application, there is no mention about parking on there, unless if I have missed something. So do tell me if I have missed something. But there is no mention about parking, yet there's going to be 4 studio flats being built. My concern is that parking is already tight in this location, and therefore I think we should be objecting as a town council due to the lack of the parking information.
Oh yeah, I also picked up the fact that there was no parking on the site. Well, I can't see any obvious provision for it. On that basis, I think that we should object to the application for insufficient parking. Any other comment? Right, those in favour of that objection?
Okay, can I just be clear for the minutes that the objections on the grounds that there's no additional parking being added to accommodate the residential development?
Yeah. Yep. Is that okay? Right, those in favour? Eamon, you?
I'm not in favour of it. No, I'm against it.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we're against it. I'm saying.
I mean, I'm for the.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, Richard. No. Right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against. Those abstaining. One didn't vote. Right, that's agreed. Item 10, 82 Eaton Avenue, single story rear extension. Any comment? Right.
No.
Someone coming in? No, right. 11, 101 Western Road, proposed single story rear extension. Any comment? Item 12, 6, Brown Willis Close, certificate of lawfulness. Any comment? No. Item 13 we've done. That's the gas installation. So that finishes planning matters. So we go on item 6. Financial management information, income and expenditure. Right. I think that it's fair to say that our budgets against expenditure this year are all over the place, because the COVID virus has hit our workload completely, and therefore I think from our best point of view is to note this report and to really sit back on our hands and wait for the results in March when we finish the budget. But be aware, I think, that if money is wanted for individual projects to help the residents, then I think it's quite clear we have the budget to do it. And I think provided we keep that in mind, I think we will be better off. Ed?
I think that's a really good point, Chair. We're going through a period of lockdown again, and we're not quite sure what the early months of the 2021 bring, and I hope it's a lot better than 2020 has been. And I think there are a number of issues that have come up, and they were probably present before. Well, they were present before. Impacts on mental health of people in our community, social interaction for a number of people, and the isolation, and access to some services and advice that people need. And food poverty is clearly another major issue at the moment, and highlighted by Marcus Rashford's 2-0 win on it with the government this week. So yeah, I think there's lots of stuff that is going on at the moment, and I do think we as a council, we know we've got some funds left this year, and I would expect that to be a fairly large surplus. I mean, I'll wait Clark's advice on that, but I do think actually there is some projects here. There's some areas here that money could be spent in the meantime up until March to really help with some of these issues. I mean, we can't do it on our own, but if there's charities or there's organisations or there's some simple things that we can do as a council, I think we need to be prepared to be adaptable to that. Right.
Any other? Delia?
If I could just raise a couple of issues that have come up, where firstly, with regard to the cost centre 112, which is our youth work cost centre.
Thank you.
As you know, the youth club, the senior youth clubs have been able to keep going following the last lockdown, but since the most recent lockdown was introduced, the advice from government has been that the youth clubs that we've been funding cannot be sustained during this current period of restrictions, despite the fact that youth services are considered an essential service, that they're not allowed to continue. However, Youth Network MK are already engaged in some work with individual young people who've been attending the youth clubs, and the current restrictions do allow that one-to-one and therapeutic work to continue. So I haven't got a specific proposal to put to you tonight, but I'd like an indication from the committee whether you'd be prepared for the youth club budget to be diverted during this period of lockdown to supporting those one-to-one interventions. I think the reason I'm raising it now before I've got a proper proposal is that a lot of the charities we're working with and our partner organisations are need to respond as promptly as possible, so they need some degree of comfort, I think, about whether or not we're likely to be supportive about their requests for additional funding. Councillor Kay Wilson's indicating.
Ethan?
I think there's lots of knowledge that early intervention in issues with children are, lead to better outcomes in the community in the longer term, and I really do support or give the indication that we'd like to support these, without the detail, obviously to be discussed, but I think we should indicate that we are happy to support our local communities in the provision of these services, which aren't being provided by anyone else. And I think that a lot of children are struggling. I mean, there are adults struggling at the moment with the impact of COVID. How are children taking this? And I think that one-to-one, if they need one-to-one support, I think that it should be provided.
Thank you, Ethan. I think, I know we're talking about youth at the moment, but I think anyone in our parish in need needs to be closely looked at and supported if we can, if it's appropriate for us. But I think that what we're overall saying, I'll come to you, Ron. I think that what we're overall saying is that we wish to support those that are needed within our parish. And I think the clerk, you basically have the authority, Delia, don't you, in your expenditure requirement to meet some of those.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron.
Yeah, I totally agree. If we need to divert some money into this one-to-one, just do it and get it done. And as you say, Keith, all the people, as a council, I don't think we do enough for mental health, over the years, and I think it's now time for us to step up as a council to start doing more for the young and the older people, especially right now we've seen these lockdowns for ourselves. Take a good look and see where we can help, where the money's not there at the moment,
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Did someone want to come in?
I've got another issue that I was just going to flag up if it's appropriate.
Okay. Carry on in.
Just on the back of what Councillor Haynes just said, there is a report coming to full council about a proposal for some mental health support work later in the month. We've also been approached by a charity that does a Christmas lunch for seniors in Milton Keynes who are likely to be on their own on Christmas Day. They do this event every year, and this year it's not possible. They think it won't be possible, so instead they're going to be doing hampers, individual hampers. They have a database of regular attenders at this event, and there's only about 5 people on the list who are from our parish, but what they've asked is whether we would fund those hampers for those 5 individuals who will not be able to attend the Christmas Day lunch. So I think the total expenditure would be in the region of about £250 to £300, £250 to £300 if there are 5. So again, there are funds in the budget that could be diverted for that. So again, is there an indication that you're feeling positively disposed towards that, or
Well,
not? Just so that I know.
we can take a vote on that and agree it tonight. It's in the budget, if we can treat it as a grant, if nothing else. I mean, anyone want to specifically comment on that? Ethan, you're muted.
Sorry, Chairman. I propose that we support the local residents. I think it's harder. It's going to be hard enough this Christmas with people potentially. I'm struggling with not going to be able to see my own family this year, and it's been a very difficult year for a number of reasons, as you know. I think that we should do everything that we can to support the local residents who need this service at the moment.
Sorry, Richard.
I mean, I second Ethan's proposal.
Right. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Did you have any more?
No, not at the moment.
Right. Okay.
More later, I'm sure.
Right. Anyone else got any comments on the expenditure for this year? No. Okay. Thank you. Now we go to item 7, which is the cash and investment reconciliation. If I can find 7, that is.
Page 301.
Pardon?
It's page 301 in the pack.
301, right. Oh, 303, I'm on the wrong page. Right, got it, thank you. To note?
Yes, just for noting, please.
Okay, thank you. And so we have the current account, bank reconciliation, the deposit account, multi-play card bank reconciliation, the petty cash bank reconciliation. On any of those items, are there any comments? They are fairly standard to our financial management. No comments? Thank you, dear. Then they're all noted and agreed.
Yep.
Thank you. Item 8, ratified list of payments. Does anyone wish to raise any items there that we're going to pay?
No.
You're right, Eamon?
Yeah.
Fine, thank you. Are they agreed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone's agreed. Thank you. That's approved. Invoices due for payment.
That's yeah, you've got more than one list because they're coming from different
One's direct debit, isn't it? And then one electronic payment.
Yeah.
Are there any comments on those two items? No, so that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last one on 8 is the multi-play card list of payments.
Yeah. That's where we obviously use the multi-pay card if we're purchasing online.
Yeah. Okay. All noted?
Noted.
Thank you. Item 10, completion of external audit for the year 2019-20 and to make any necessary recommendations to council.
Yes.
Delia, can you take us through this one?
Yes. You've got the whole pack from the you've got the whole pack that we received from the external auditors, because our standing orders require me to give you the whole pack. So there's the supporting covering letter, which starts on page 323. Then there's the form, the format that they wish you to use for publishing the notice of conclusion of audit, which is on page 325, and we've obviously we put our own notice up using that format, and it went up within the required timescale, both on our website and on some of our notice boards, not all of them. Then we've got the invoice for the external audit fee, which was 2,400, which has been paid and was included in the list of payments that you've just ratified. And then we've got the three sections of the AGAR, or the annual governance and return, the accounts and governance return, and you can see that the first 2 pages you've seen before, and the third page is the external auditor's completion. Now, the accounts are not qualified in any way, but there is a comment that is to be brought to your attention in section 2 on the external auditor report, which says that the AGAR was not accurately completed before submission for review, and it had to be sent back for amendment, and that is correct. The AGAR was sent back for amendment, and there were 2 reasons for amendment. One was that there was a transposition of figures, which was just a basic error, which nobody spotted, despite the fact that lots of different people, lots of different eyes looked at the paperwork, but there was just a transposition error. So we'd put 210 instead of 201, so that was amended. And then also we had restated the accounts during the year, and we had not put the original amount on, we put the restated amount on, and they wanted that to be amended, so that's been amended. And with that in mind, there's nothing else to bring to the attention of the Finance Committee, and the audit is now completed, and the accounts and this document have been published. I think it's so
we need to recommend to council approval.
We need to recommend, yes, we need to recommend approval, please. And I think it's just you know, that we all need to be really alert to check, double check and triple check the AGAR before it goes in. I think, you know, we've got to bear in mind that we were doing this in the immediately after year end, at the beginning of the lockdown, and everybody was looking at things sort of separately and signing things separately, and I think that was partly a reason why the transposition wasn't picked up.
Okay, so do we agree that we make a recommendation to council to approve the external audit and recommend its approval? Yes, those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Item 11, the interim internal report for 2021, and to make any necessary recommendations to council.
Yeah, so this is that we're now moving into the current financial year rather than last year, and this is the interim audit report. Our auditor has done the interim visit remotely, which is what he had to do with the last visit, and the report spells out what's been tested and what's been looked at. And as you can see from the report, there are no matters arising that he wishes to bring to the attention of the council. But this report needs to be referred to full council with any recommendations that this committee would like to make with it.
So I suggest we make a recommendation for approval by full council. Is that agreed? Yeah. Those in favour? Thank you, it's unanimous. Item 12.
11.
11 even.
Is it 11?
No, it's 12.
No, it's in orange. We've just done it now. Yeah.
Oh, beg your pardon. 12. We're further ahead than I thought. Could I speak to this one, please, Chairman?
Yeah.
So the annual review of the effectiveness of the internal audit and the internal controls is a piece of work that has to be undertaken by councillors every year to ensure that the council is has reviewed its internal controls and is satisfied that they are doing the job that they're designed to do. and this was considered previously at a finance committee, which when I was on leave, and it was suggested that that last year's report should just be adopted. But I have brought it back to the committee because this document needs to be signed by councillors who are willing to say that they have undertaken this review. It's not a review that can be undertaken by officers. It must be undertaken by councillors. So what I'm coming back to the finance committee for, before this goes back to full council again, is for individual councillors to put their name to this review.
Ooh.
Right, well, I expect I should be one, shouldn't I, as chair of
Would be good.
the sign my life away. Does anyone else wish to join me? Don't all rush at once, please. Was that your hand up, Ethan, or is you scratching your forehead? I know. Does anyone else wish to sign off the document? No? Right, well, I shall do it then, Delia.
Thank you. I mean, it may be that the chair of council, who isn't able to be here tonight, may be willing to sign it as well, which would be a helpful situation, I think.
Yeah, okay.
I was willing to sign it as well, Chairman.
Oh, that's perfect. We had 3 last time, so
Yeah.
that would be great.
I think just one point though, do we need to add a risk here around, we discussed the risk of transposition, and actually it feels to me that that's highlighted, it's something that's happened, and we should be formally recording that as a risk within this document so that actually we can remind ourselves at the appropriate time that it's done and not just rely on our memory of what happened last year.
Yeah, I can add something into that.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, yes, with that proviso, do we recommend this? No, we don't recommend the document to council yet.
Well, I think once it's signed, we recommend it to council.
Okay. All right, I shall have to do that then in the next.
On the understanding that it is signed by the councillors, or that you're agreeable to sign it. If you'd like to refer it, it can go to full council at the end of this month, which I would like it to do because I'd like to get it out of the way
right
at this stage, if that's possible.
Right. Okay, doke. So is that agreed to go to council? Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, Delia.
Thank you. So the next item, Chairman, I think contains commercially sensitive information. I don't know if you feel that you can discuss it without revealing that, or if you would prefer to consider whether the members of the public should be excluded.
Well, I asked for this to go onto the agenda so that we could all have a free and frank discussion to consider what we do with next year's budget. It is critical.
I think that's item 14.
Is it?
But the same applies, actually. I think that in order to have the discussion about item 14, there will definitely be a need to discuss commercially sensitive information and potentially matters affecting individual members of staff. So what has been put forward with that item is very much a working document for discussion and not for publication. So, I mean, I would say to you that it's a matter for you to decide whether either or both of those should be considered in confidence at this stage.
So we're talking about items 13, 14 and 15.
Yeah, I could deal with item 15 before you go into confidential session if you would prefer.
I think that would be good. Yes,
yeah.
Get the least amount possible into confidential. So item 15.
Item 15, I have been asked to seek to do some research into finding financial investment advice for the council, and I'm giving a report back to say that this haven't got on very well with this so far. That doesn't mean that I've given up, but at the moment I am finding it difficult to find appropriate advisors. I have consulted NALC and SLCC, who won't recommend individuals but have pointed me towards certain in certain directions, but I need to do further work on this before I can produce a report for you. I'm sorry, it's just not been the top of the list.
That is noted then, Delia. Okay.
Yeah, and it will come back. I just want you to know it's not forgotten.
Okay. So items 13 and 14, members, we're saying we should go into part 2, private discussion for exclusion of press and public. Those in favour of that proposal? That's unanimous. Thank you, Delia. Thank you, members. So we'll come out of Facebook now. Sorry, YouTube.
Yes, if you could just bear with me, we'll stop the recording, and the minutes of the meeting will be in the public domain and will be published on the website as soon as possible.
Yeah, look it up.